How do you learn to develop that partnership with this other mammal that's got its own brain? It weighs several tons. I mean, let's be honest about it. Ben can outmuscle you at any point in time.
Yeah.
How do you develop that partnership with a horse so that because it's got to work on something around mutual respect or something, I don't know, so that you do, as a human, you do actually have a small degree of control over your own destiny, as opposed to just like a bucking bronco type ride.
Well, that's really crucial, what you said about outmuscling. Like, you will never win. If a horse decides they're going to fight you, you are not going to fight back. Like, your strength is not going to triumph over theirs. So building a partnership with them is about, it's a really, really long process of training, of training them in a gentle and like building up a system of communication between you and them. So obviously, as a rider, you have the connection to their mouth with the bit. And there are people who ride bitless as well, which is, I have a friend down the road who rides without a bit on her horse, which is a whole other level of amazing. But you have the connection with the bit, and you have in your legs. And your legs are your most important part, your legs and your seat, because so much transmits to them through you. Like, you can get to a level in the training of a horse where you can change gait, so you can go from a canter down to a trot or even a canter down to a walk by exhaling. You exhale and they'll move down a gait.
No way.
They're that sensitive. So it's a really difficult question to answer. In a sort of succinct way, I think every rider is taught is taught how to ride in a similar way, because the principles of riding are based on the kind of classical principles. And I think it's how you apply those principles that makes the difference between being a really good horse person and just being able to ride. So the more sensitive you can be to what the animal needs, then the better you are at being able to communicate with them. So I think for a long time, riding was about dominating horses and using your strength and using tough bits and using hardware to dominate them. And that still, of course, happens. But there's also been a big change, a big movement over the last maybe like 30 or 40 years toward a more sensitive and communicative way of riding, where you are working in partnership with a horse and building trust between you and the horse as well, because trust is really important. Because if a horse is used to somebody getting on them and pulling them in the mouth and kicking them really hard in the belly, they're going to resist that, and they're going to behave in a way that like they're going to try and evade that. So if you're getting on them every day and you're like gentle with your hands and you're rewarding them when they do things the way you want them to do them, then they're going to work with you rather than against you.
Sounds a bit like you have to get to a place where the horse absolutely adores you and and wants to do anything for you, like wants to I don't know, leap through burning hoops. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but like they want to ride for you or to run for you, even if that's a word. That's like creating a loving relationship between two humans in some respects, isn't it?
Yeah, they do have to want to do things. Like, that's the thing when people say that it's cruel to ride horses, it doesn't have any weight, because like anyone who's ever ridden a horse knows if that horse doesn't want to be ridden, you're not riding it. Like, there's absolutely no way that you're going to stay on board. So the horses who people see out like on television doing things are doing it because they want to do it, to a large part, because you just physically cannot make them do anything. So yeah, you do have to build a relationship of trust with them. And it is a thing, like, people do ask, does your horse know who you are, and do they care about you? And it's hard. I mean, I definitely think they know. I definitely think Ben knows who I am. He absolutely does, because if he sees me if he's the other end of the field and he sees me, he'll prick up his ears and come over to me. And I don't have food with me. I never go out to the field with food, because people often think, oh, they're just coming to you because they think you're going to have food. But I never bring food out with me. So there is a knowledge and a recognition, and they can be quite affectionate as well. Like, Ben and I have been a partnership for 11 years, which is a really long time. And he is quite an affectionate horse toward me only, though. He's not really that way toward anyone else. So I think they have attachments to you, and they are, I don't want to say like that they love you, because I don't know. I don't think that that's possible, but I know that they can recognize you, and they can respond to you. And they're really amazing for people. They're often used for people who have PTSD as therapy animals, because they are so sort of solid. And I think in the cases of, some examples I've seen where people have PTSD, they just stand with them in the corral or in the stable, and the horses come over to the people, and they put their heads on their shoulder, or they lean their head against them or something. And that sort of their solid presence and their sort of calmness is very, very reassuring.